give others, lift me up that I may have the power to lift others up. That is the seed of faith that was sowed by the president of Rochas Foundation about 20 years ago. This seed of faith is what we see today glowing. This seed of faith has germinated, grown into a tree, and is developing branches. As I look at the sea of head of students from across our nation and from across Africa, I can't but put my mind back to those glorious words of Aristotle, the great philosopher who was taught by Socrates and whom himself is the teacher of Plato. Aristotle declared, all those who have meditated on the art of governing mankind have come to the conviction that the future of every empire, the future of every nation state depends on education of the youth. When I look at the fact that Rochas Foundation is hinged on Rochas Foundation College, which gives education to the less privileged, I can also but reflect for those who are Muslims on the opening verse, the opening revelation that was made to Muhammad, the great prophet of Islam. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Iqra bi ismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. Alladhi khalaqa insana min alaq. Iqra wa rabbukal akram. Alladhi allama bil qalam. Allama al insana ma lam ya'lam. In that verse, God Almighty revealed to Muhammad the importance of knowledge and studies, and he ordered him, read in the name of your Lord who created man from a cloth of blood. Read, for your Lord reveals. Your Lord teaches by the writing of the pen. For our Muslim brothers, especially students from across Africa who are in Rochas Foundation College of Africa, you can see that your sojourn from your different nations to this place is also a part of hijrah. For hijrah is not only when you flee hunger or war, but when you also make moves for knowledge and for studies. Today, we are here to celebrate a titan. We are here to celebrate a man who received vision, but a man who did not take the vision for granted, but pursued it with passion. We are here to celebrate the Rochas Foundation College that is aiding the world, a foundation that is growing to the point that it will overflag the African region. We are here to celebrate with a foundation that is being shouldered by a man who can best be described as a humane spiritate, a human spirit. In the Arab world, he will be described as nusful ruh wa nusful insan, half spirit, half man. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a show of philanthropy. It is a show of human goodness. It is a show of the extent that goodness can go. At this point, I have the pleasure to invite the DG of Rochas Foundation to come and talk to us. And that's in the person of Mrs. Ulama Rochas Wosu.
We are here to celebrate humanity. We are here to celebrate God's given vision. We are here to celebrate 20 years ago. Above all, we are here to celebrate God's great gift to humanity. Let me appreciate the King of Kings, the author and finisher of our faith, the one who has brought this story and who has blossomed this story in what it has become today. Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Nissi, Jehovah Elohim, we worship you and we thank you for giving us the gift of today. At this point, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to recognize my mentor, my teacher, a man who has nursed me into the woman I have become today. My wonderful father, the president, Rochas Foundation. My mother, a woman who has stood behind this vision for the past 20 years, a woman who has served as the pillar that held the thousands of people who had fed from this one pot. A great woman who has made me the woman that I have become today. Mommy, my direct boss, the vice president of Rochas Foundation, I salute you. I want to also recognize my lovely husband, a man who has been a pillar of support, my best friend, a man who has supported this foundation thus far, Ugumba Uchenwosu. Sweetheart, much respect to you. And to the founding fathers of the Rochas Foundation, the great Nyereres, the great Bishop Onoha, and most importantly, my predecessor, Ambassador Noye Rajis, the immediate past Director General of Rochas Foundation. I salute you, ma. I want to also recognize all the dignitaries who have come here, the great ambassadors, diplomats of different countries. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. The great students and teachers of Rochas Foundation, the great beneficiaries of Rochas Foundation, I salute you. The Rochas Foundation story began 20 years ago, born by a man's desire to make sure that the less privileged man or the less privileged child on the streets finds succor and finds access to quality education. 20 years ago, on the streets of Masalachin Duma, I remember in those days we were young, and on the streets and served food, served the less privileged children. In that care, I understood love. In that moment, we understood how to give back to our society. In that moment, 20 years ago, we understood that there's no greater fulfillment but when you reach out to the less privileged one on the streets. The story of Rochas Foundation is one of a mustard seed that has blown up into many trees that's a coverage to Africa. The Rochas Foundation story is a story of one mustard seed that has blossomed into over 17,000 children and still counting, educated by one pot. The Rochas Foundation story is one that has blossomed into over 4,000 children who are graduates, now doctors, lawyers, SSS, civil service, all to the glory of God. Let me take you back into our world. The Rochas Foundation is one that believes that every human counts, every child counts. We started the Rochas Foundation journey with the Reach Out and Touch program, where once every month on Fridays, my family and I would go to the streets to commune with the less privileged in our society.